guys, as we dive into this call, there's this story of a young lad. His name was Willie. He was very sharp, bright, going to school. He was holding a pretty high standard in school and liked by almost everyone. And, in his academic career, he was really not necessarily career yet, but in his journey, he was doing very well in science and many other areas. Very good at sports, hockey and baseball, football, the list goes on. A good gymnast. He was just really good in gymnastics in all of those elements. And one day, as a matter of fact, in March, when he was playing hockey, all of a sudden, his sports and his academic career blew off out the window, out in the fields, kind of like dandelion fluff, as a player on the other side swung his hockey stick, not meaning to, but hit Willie in the mouth and knocked him flat on his back, and his teeth went flying in every direction. His mouth was just a sight nobody wanted to see. The doctor did the best he could, but recommended Willie would take a bit of time to rest. As he did, he developed a stomach condition that was hard to deal with, and then heart conditions. And all of a sudden, he realized his academic career was completely over. He wasn't going to be able to finish high school. Now the father and mother's desire for an academic distinction in their children rested on Willie's kid brother. And the problem with that was Willie's kid brother didn't much like school. He wasn't enthusiastic about it as Willie had been. He didn't really care for it. Although he got decent grades, he wasn't in it. He got into a little bit more mischief than maybe some should have or thought he should have. Certainly, he would have probably admitted to that. But as time went by and he found himself not doing so well with the teachers, and teacher at one point sent him home and said not to come back until she talks to one of his parents. And in that particular scenario, it was like 2 weeks to the end of the school term. He never did finish that grade in school. They moved before he re-enrolled into a different area as his father's work went different places. And his grades were good, but he just didn't click with him in school. And he dropped out once and for all. He completely dropped out. And this reason that he gave was that there was too many things that he was forced to study that he had no interest in, and certainly was his reason that he gave, and he dropped out. The parents' plans for an academic distinction was completely gone, and you can imagine the anguish they felt when they realized that neither of their boys was going to finish high school. They were forever going to be high school dropouts. Now, these boys tried different jobs here and there, normal jobs, trying to get something, and just never could land on anything that seemed to satisfy them, that seemed to be what they wanted. And one day they got together, they teamed up, and forever changed the world. You see those two boys, one which didn't have a desire for academics, and the other which couldn't due to an accident and health issues, got together, and you might better know their names as Wilbur and Orville Wright, the Wright brothers. You might now be thinking of riding in a commercial airliner. Also, you might be considering the flight that you had in a small private plane. You might often have thought about these boys, wondering what kind of degree they had to get them to be able to do what they did. But you see, they had a degree of determination. They had a degree that said if they should put their mind to it and believe they can accomplish the impossible. That had been the impossible up until those two boys did it. If you notice the license plates on North Carolina vehicles, you will notice it says proudly, first in flight. But you see, many people ride with that license plate on their vehicle, and they're proud of it, first in flight, and they should be proud of it. But there was a time that a parent wasn't proud of those two boys because they weren't able to finish school. But today we're very proud of their achievements, and I know the parents were as well, once they realized what they were capable of doing. But today there's many people that proudly ride around with that symbol of overachievement. But yet I want to remind you that there was a time when there was an underachievement. I'm going to challenge and ask you, is there times where you feel like an underachiever, where you feel like you haven't done your part, where you feel like you haven't done what you could? Is there times when you cry yourself to sleep feeling like an underachiever? I'm going to tell you, you maybe won't invent an airplane as that has already been done. But I'm going to tell you, we haven't scratched the surface of what God has given us the ability to do. You have something within you that can help change the world as well. I'm going to challenge you guys with this as we hop off this call, is start to change the world by changing your world. Forget about everybody else for a moment. Let's start changing my world, changing your world. Maybe you have a high academic status, and that's great. I applaud that, and I'm grateful for you. But maybe you just haven't stepped into achieving anything magnificent with it. So I'm going to challenge you to forget about all the things that you've learned for a moment, just for a moment. You will need many of the things you've learned in this journey. But be reminded that within you lies something that's greater than all the academics in the world. Within you lies something so great that if you were to pull it out, or maybe even have a mentor help draw that out of you, what you could achieve could be so magnificent. But you see, you must first realize that it's there. Understand. Now, you don't know what's there. Neither do I. I just know there's something there because our Creator made no mistakes. He made things so magnificent. He spoke everything into existence until it came to you and I. Yes, I'm speaking to you, you and me. When he made us, he did it with way more intention. He actually created it with his hand. And he said it was good. He was pleased. He said we were fearfully and wonderfully made. I want to challenge you that your best days are ahead.